my name is Abigail, and in this video I'm going to be talking about social media trends and book talk. I'm basically going to be reading from my laptop that is right here, okay, if you see me looking down. And this is an essay that I actually wrote today in the morning. I love it when I just wake up and straight away grab my laptop to write something instead of my phone to scroll. It's like weird when it happens. It's kind of like I'm possessed, but a good thing came out, so I wanted to share it because this is something that has been on my mind for quite a while. So, my thoughts on social media trends and book talk. Trends have been around for quite a while now, starting around the 20th century, and numerous fashion trends have changed throughout the years from the 1920s to the 1990s. And of course, after that and before that. Trends have always been a normal part of society. People change, the world changes, and our style changes with it, and people follow what's popular either because they like it or because they want to fit in. However, with social media, trends come and go within a few months, down to micro trends that peak only for a few weeks or even days. Social media, especially TikTok, is filled with so many trends, from macro ones that last longer on the platform, like certain styles like cottagecore, weird girlcore, coquette, to the micro ones like certain songs. When I was about 13, I was very fond of the coquette trend that was on my For You page at the time. I tried to embody the aesthetic, and by doing so, I tried to force it to become a part of my personality, like an accessory you put on a video game character that just encapsulates what they're like as a person. So, I listened to Lana Del Rey, I drank Diet Coke, I read Lolita, I wore Miss Dior perfume, I decorated my room with posters of Lana Del Rey albums and photos of lip-stained kisses. I watched this movie by creative director Sofia Coppola. I watched Girl Interrupted, Black Swan, and many more films that had to do with the aesthetic. It was fun to feel like I was part of a trend. It gives you a certain feeling of identity, especially in those earlier stages of life when you don't have yourself fully figured out yet. But the problem with social media trends is the fact that they come and go. What is cool one day can flop the next, and it's not easy to stay with one aesthetic for long if it's just a mask that you love but not an embodiment of who you really are. So my coquette phase passed, but Lana Del Rey remained my favorite artist, and I began to learn all her songs, not just the trendy ones. And some of the movies like Girl Interrupted became my top favorite movie up until this day. After my coquette phase, I started to get into dark academia aesthetic at 14. That is also when certain books started to surface on my For You page. Books like The Secret History by Donna Tartt, A Little Life, The Stranger by Albert Camus, etc. This phase was one of the things that inspired me to write my first dark academia novel, that I started writing without the idea of publishing it, but simply for myself. Eventually, my dark academia phase wore out, but I stayed with the book I wrote and with the art of writing that I carry up until now. During these phases of trying to embody a trend or a persona, I realized that I always felt something was missing. Like I had a few items, the music, the posters, the books, but not the outfits, for example. Or perhaps even not the whole feeling of the aesthetic. That was because trends like these make you chase something that you like, but perhaps isn't true to you, but instead stems from a desire to be liked or a desire for being a part of a community, which as human beings I can't blame people for. However, this has led to me despising certain trends and not trying to be a part of any. Even so, I have found myself following them subconsciously. So I have worn a backpack to school all my life, and all of a sudden last summer I bought myself a school bag. This is the bag. So I enter class and I see all my friends with school bags like similar to this one. I wondered if I had blindly or subconsciously followed a trend, or maybe we all have, consciously or not. After a couple of months, I decided to switch between my backpack and my bag because of how heavy and uncomfortable my bag sometimes feels on my shoulder. This just proves even more that I bought it for how it looks rather than how convenient it actually is or how much comfort it will bring me. Which proves my earlier point about how trends come from external influences and sometimes isn't something we really choose but instead follow. So going back to the fact that I stopped following trends, a new trend started popping up on my For You page. A trend that I hoped would flop soon, because if my true authentic personality ever became a trend that people would try to embody inauthentically to themselves, I would scream. So here comes the thought daughter. A trend that I don't even need to try to embody because I feel that it's already who I am. This isn't a flex, by the way, okay? The thought daughter, according to Google, is a term describing a girl or a woman who is deeply introspective, emotionally empathetic, and enjoys engaging in intellectual or creative pursuits. And on social media, thought daughters are described as girls who journal, girls who write, girls who look out the window listening to music and daydreaming while they're in the car, girls who watch films and add them onto Letterboxd, girls who read Sylvia Plath, etc. Once again, I did get a bit inspired, and I did download Letterboxd, and I did read Sylvia Plath's novel The Bell Jar because of this trend. But I didn't need to embody it because it was already me. And although I love the app Letterboxd and I love the book, The Bell Jar, it all just makes me feel like I was forced into a trend, not because it's appealing, but because it is to some extent who I already am. The problem I personally have with this now is that you can never really tell if someone is really a thought daughter or just likes the aesthetic. Or perhaps someone actually becomes a thought daughter because of the aesthetic. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but there's a difference between someone who, for example, likes Lana Del Rey's songs and listens to her albums not by force, but simply because they actually like the artist, and someone who claims they love Lana Del Rey and only knows her top 10 songs from TikTok. I know I sound hypocritical because I also first got to know Lana Del Rey through trendy TikTok audios, but I spent time listening to her different songs outside of TikTok too, and I loved her songs not for the aesthetic, but for the melody, the lyrics, and the way it makes me feel understood. I know I still might sound hypocritical, but don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that trends are bad. Most of my favorite songs and artists I've gotten from TikTok. Cigarettes After Sex, The Smiths, certain old songs like Don't Dream It's Over or Why by Carly Simon. But I wouldn't say I love Carly Simon just because I love one of her trendy songs. And once again, this is the problem with trends. People say they like things for the aesthetic of it, but perhaps deep down it isn't really authentic. So my problem with Thought Daughter isn't extremely big, but since I tried not following trends for a long time and accidentally became one, it kind of took me aback. But I still like the Thought Daughter related videos and I repost some from time to time. But I don't try embodying more than I am or something that I'm not. And I'm not going to change who I am simply because of a trend that embodies most of who I am. Which brings me to my next occurrence. While scrolling through TikTok, I came across a video that said, I think people who hate unpopular things to seem different are real losers. And I thought to myself, please don't tell me this is going to become a trend now. And I started to see more videos with similar content. Videos like with people saying, make it a trend to not follow trends, or when I realize I'm talking to another, I don't follow trends, I have my own taste kind of girl. And now, not following trends has become a trend in itself. Anyway, I think to some extent we're all influenced by external factors. It's just like who we are, whether we like it or not. But I think the algorithm has come to a point where it isn't just forcing a trend onto me, but also making me a trend, if that makes sense. And I don't mean me as a person, I mean like the things that I already do. And I don't hate trends to seem cooler or to seem different like some of these TikToks claim. I believe everyone is different in their own way, and I am still influenced by certain trends because as humans we're always absorbing what is around us. But I do think that social media has become a saturated place where one trend follows another, and that is the reason why I don't like them or try not to follow them if they don't feel authentic to who I am. Another reason is the recently popular trend called the performative male. I really don't like this trend. It's actually kind of sad. It's usually male, but this can also be female or just any person. It's a critique of males who drink matcha, read popular books or booktok books, wear tote bags, and wear a certain type of style. Like, why are we criticizing certain people now and calling them performative? Isn't everyone performative? Like, isn't everyone Anyway, basically the concept is that if someone looks like this in public, they are 100% just performing an aesthetic without actually embodying it. So now we've become haters, apparently. I would just like to read some part, because I saw this photo online when I searched for photos of the performative male, and I came across this photo, and I would just like to read some of the, like, the starter pack of it, right? Like, what you need to become this performative male. It says, reads feminist literature to impress women, not to understand them, or self-help books. Bonus points if it's something by Robert Greene. God forbid a guy wants to work on himself. And Robert Greene is one of my favorite psychology writers, so. Okay, paints his nails to cover up his fragile masculinity. This made me so sad because I was thinking about how many guys like paint their nails, and now there's this performative male trend showing that if you paint your nails it's because you're covering up fragile masculinity. Like, guys, why are we being so mean? Works at a vintage store. Japanese selvage denim. I don't know if I said that right, but I think it's these trousers. Like, if he wears these trousers, he's part of this. What else is there? Listens to Mitski and MF Doom. Thinks it makes him deep. I listened to Mitski for a long time. It's ceremonial grade with oat milk. Thinks it tastes like dog water, but still forces himself to drink it anyway. They're talking about matcha, that this guy doesn't even like matcha, but he's forcing himself to drink it just for how it looks, right? So on the other photos we see he drinks matcha, he wears a tote bag, he reads Normal People or Sally Rooney books, he listens to Clario, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. He wears Labubus, he wears glasses, and reads Atomic Habits. The problem with trends like these is that they seem harmless and funny because it's true. Like, people usually follow trends just for the look of it. However, there are people out there who actually enjoy matcha and like reading in a park and own a tote bag, who now think twice before ordering a matcha and don't read in public as often anymore. This is obviously also a personal problem of caring too much about what other people think and if others will perceive me as performative for the things that I actually like. But I'm sure there are people out there who care way more about fitting in than me, that would totally abandon their love for matcha, stop bringing their book and tote bag to places, and change their style because apparently they have been put into the performative male category trend. And this trend makes it seem like no guy actually likes matcha or likes to read. And if they are seen drinking matcha or reading in public, it must be performative. Like, there is no way they actually like to read or actually like matcha. Like, now, booktok. I feel like this trend affects me the most as a person who writes. It's an ongoing trend where people post books and certain books get trendy and fit into certain aesthetics too, which is in fact a good thing because it actually forces people to read more books. But what type of books are people really reading? Because the most popular books in the booktok trend are romance, mostly Colleen Hoover books, which, no hate to any of the books or the authors mentioned or the people who read these type of books and enjoy them. But booktok's most trendy books are romances, romantasy, which is romance with fantasy, dark romance, etc. There are different genres, but the ones that are most popular are the ones mentioned, and usually most of them contain spicy content. And once again, no hate to people who read that, because although it's embarrassing to admit, I have also read a few of those books myself, and I actually found myself disappointed. When I searched for the most trendy books on TikTok, out of curiosity, I came across a few in that category, and because there was so much hype about it, I decided to read the 700-page book that, in my opinion, lacked a lot of depth, had stereotypical characters and unrealistic dialogue, and even more things that just kind of that I didn't like. And I know that it also has to do with my own literary taste, but as a writer, how does it affect me? Well, a lot of writers, including me, use TikTok to advertise their novels and turn them into trends or mood boards. I don't have any published books at the moment, but when I published one for a certain amount of time, I made mood boards or put snippets of the book into an aesthetic video to kind of spread the vibe of the book, with, of course, hashtag booktok in the caption, because how else would it reach an audience if not through the trend? My problem with booktok is that it kind of made reading an aesthetic, which makes reading and writing in some way also performative. I feel like social media is such a saturated and complex place, and it's so easy to make assumptions on it. That is why I sometimes fear adding hashtag booktalk into my caption, because it might make me seem like I'm being performative when I've actually been reading my whole life and started writing before booktalk was really a thing. Or it might make people assume my novels fall under the same category of romance or romantasy that turn out to be disappointing. In conclusion, the reason why I'd encourage people not to let themselves fall blindly into trends is because in the process of doing so, you abandon another part of yourself, or instead you put on a mask that doesn't quite fit. And with trends changing so often, it also encourages programmed obsolescence, like the Labubus, basically. And once again, no hate to people who are walking trends themselves, because as a person who can also be considered a walking trend, like the thought daughter, it doesn't automatically mean you're being inauthentic or performative. I just think we should try to know ourselves more and our own tastes. And if your taste is what is trending, that is totally normal. But if you feel like you're forcing yourself to like what is trending or to be a certain way and like certain things for the aesthetic of it, then I'd encourage you to do otherwise.